Hi, this is the history of the swastika for young and future young generations. Okay, what comes on the top of your mind when you see the symbol in the center? Don't worry about the other symbols on the other sides of it or on the bottom of it or where it came from. Just look at the one in the center. Now, you probably think of hatred and violence and racism, but it actually means quite the opposite. This means universal harmony, believe it or not. The one that you're thinking about that has to do with all that is this swastika, and that's what this symbol is called. Some people don't even know what it's called, and that's just how much this symbol has really been dug up into hate. So, this was the one created by Adolf Hitler, and it was created by the Nazi Party in the 1920s decade. Now, it was sort of, in a way, popular back in the 1920s decade, 1930s, obviously as a sign of hatred. And in the 1940s decade, when the years of World War II were happening, this had become, to everyone, especially Americans, a widespread worldwide symbol of hate. And as time went on, even after World War II, the real history of the swastika had started to become forgotten more and more and more. And now we have very few children that actually know the history of the swastika. So, now let's go back to the other swastika for a second. So, where do you think the swastika came from? Like, honestly, this thing dates back to 3,000 years ago, but I want you to guess right now where it came from. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Okay, time's up. So, he may have thought that this was an old German thing, like very, very old Germany or something, and Hitler stole that. And that is a pretty good guess, but that, unfortunately, if you said that, would be the incorrect answer. Where the symbol actually comes from is Buddhism. And the Buddhist symbol, back in 3,000 years ago, was actually a popular symbol of peace. Alright, so here are all the meanings of the Buddhist swastika. The meanings are universal harmony, prosperity, plurality, good luck, abundance, dharma, fertility, long life, and eternity. So now let's look at the differences between the Buddhist swastika and the Nazi swastika. So one thing about it is that the Buddhist swastika is obviously the right way, and I'm saying that the Buddhist swastika is the right way because it was first, and whichever is first, honestly, is the right way. And the Hitler symbol is tilted counterclockwise. It's a counterclock swastika. And I think the reason that is because Adolf Hitler knew that the Buddhist swastika meant peace and universal harmony. So he wanted to use it in his flag backwards because backwards obviously would have meant that it would mean the exact opposite. It would mean hatred, especially against Jews back then, and of course racism. Though something that is similar to the both of them is that both are inside of a circle. Well, the Nazi swastika is inside of a circle, and the Buddhist swastika is inside of a ring. But that is a very big similarity. And I'm not kidding you here. You can go back, rewind to where the video has the Buddhist swastika. Go back and you'll see it's clearly inside of a circle. Now, what the red and white actually is it's the German Empire. That's what it stands for. And then, as you can see, with the Nazi swastika in the center, inside the white circle, it means that the German Empire is controlled by Hitler, and that's what I think Hitler meant by that when he put it in the flag for Nazi Germany back in the 1940s. Now, I actually did an experiment at my school, and no, this wasn't like a class experiment. This is where I was just being normal in class, sitting down, doing my work, writing what was on the board, etc. So I did an experiment where I wrote the Buddhist swastika on basically every paper that I was writing on in each class. And nobody noticed because I wanted to make it really small because, I didn't want to take it up on the entire paper. I didn't want to take up the entire paper, make it huge and wave my arms around for everybody to see and jump up and down my seat. But I wanted to make it small but big enough for somebody to see with the naked eye. So nobody had noticed until I had done it again in about, I'd say, third or fourth period. Because the teacher was standing right there anyway. So when she saw it, she said the words, and I quote, "Don't write that." She didn't say it very clearly, but I had processed it sort of just barely, but I couldn't quite hear her, so I thought that she was talking about it. But I didn't really make much of it, and neither did she once I, closed my packet, the one that I wrote the Buddha symbol in. Oh, yeah, and just to confirm, I asked her what she had said, if she said not to write that, and what she was talking about. And yes, she had said don't write that, and she was talking about the symbol that I wrote on the paper. So she noticed it once I was going to the library to study. On some other papers that I had written the symbol on. And she said in a slightly higher, but not screaming at the top of her lungs tone, I told you not to write that. Erase it right now. Now, I didn't really want to get in trouble, so I just did as she said, and I erased it. And I showed her the other pages that I wrote on, and she made me erase those as well. And once one of the other teachers knew, she said, "Oh no, we cannot be writing that. I actually talked to a kid 2 years ago about writing that. No, we cannot do that." Now, I don't blame them. I'm not saying that they are terrible people. No, they're the best people in the entire world. And I love my teachers. They're great. But they just didn't want me getting in trouble or offending anybody. So it's really just proves about how much people don't know about where the swastika really comes from. Now, regardless, if some kid had saw what I had drawn in the sheets of paper that I had drawn on, could they have possibly gotten offended? Yes, it was totally possible for them to get offended or scream at the top of their lungs at me, some other kid, or even maybe an adult who has certain beliefs could have gotten quite mad at me. But does that change the fact that I think that kids and younger generations and future younger generations should learn about the swastika and where it came from? Yes, I think it is very important to learn about that. And I think we should all know. We should all see this example of how humanity can turn such a beautiful symbol of good into one of the most popular known disgusting symbols of hatred and racism in the entire world. And it's not just younger generations that need to know about it, it's older generations too. Because a lot of parents in childhood were told that this symbol was made directly by Nazis. Whether your generation was the 1950s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, you were probably told that it was made from the Nazis. But in reality, it was actually made by Buddhism. And to hear it from a young generation like myself, yes, a fresh and new teenager is trying to teach fellow young generations like myself about this symbol and what it really means and is. So everyone, just know that it's really okay to use this symbol. And if somebody gets offended by the symbol, then just don't use it around them. Just have a respect around each other. So, in conclusion, when the symbol is used the right way, teachers, please know that students aren't doing it to be. But teachers watching this, if they make the symbol the wrong way, then correct them and tell them the history of the swastika. I guarantee you that student will change. At least a little bit of a difference that's noticeable. So really now, to end this video, all I really have to say is thanks for listening.